these are the issues exactly that everyone has been discussing, and I think that they struggle with in their own lives. You know, coming from places that have these divisions, oftentimes the killings. So I would love to ask, just to get us started with the dialogue with you, if I can ask Naji to start us off. Talk a little bit about his story in a question.
Good morning, Your Holiness. I'm really honored to be here today. About 7 years ago in Sudan, in a cold day in winter, I was so tired and exhausted, preparing for a public event in Khartoum for social peace. And during that event, I saw one of the National Intelligence Security Services officer attending. So I went to him and greet him with a smile. And I told him, I hope you like our program, and we work for peace. We do not do harm to anyone. So after the event, I went out from the place, going to the bus station. So a pickup stopped next to me with this officer and his colleagues, and he told me, let's get you a ride home. I knew that they are arresting me, and I couldn't do anything to it. So I get in the pickup, and when he come across, and when he come near the bus station, he take a turn. I tell him I will get down here, and then he shout on me, and he took me to a house, and then he blinded my eyes. And 24 hours later, I was handcuffed, both my arms and legs, and sitting in the floor. And I can see some of my friends also. We are all in the floor, handcuffed and beaten. And for the next 16 days, we were in a cell. We don't know where we are. We don't have lawyers. We don't know if our families know where we are. So, and I was always telling myself, we don't do any harm to anyone. We use nonviolence to trying to get peace in our country. And yet we are getting beaten, and we feel powerless in this cell. Like that. So I wanted to ask Your Holiness, how to deal, or how do you deal with frustration?
I really admire, your sort of the action. Wonderful, wonderful. Then there are sort of, as I already mentioned, when we saw sort of limitless problem and beyond our sort of control or beyond our sort of effective, then there is real sort of possibility demoralize. But you already kept that optimism. So you implement that. The previous our meeting also, I really admire some of the sort of young people. Their sort of determination for non-violence, peace, develop at the moment their friend killed. So at that time, I also mentioned, if I was there, my first thought is, may run away. Some of these people, instead of run away, determined. Now, I must sort of, determined to develop peace. Wonderful. So I think you already, keep that determination. Otherwise, you will not come here. You just, somewhere, so long, no immediate harm, and you just keep there. So this is clear indication you keep your willpower. Wonderful. That's the only way. I think we also, I think generally competition, sense of competition is not good. But here, I think those people who involve violence, they also have some kind of determination, willpower. We must compete with them. We must keep our determination, competition with them. Also determination, very sound basis. Those troublemakers, their determination, no sound basis, just emotion. Okay.
Bhairavi, can you just remind His Holiness your name and where you're from?
Good morning, His Holiness. I am Bhairavi from Sri Lanka, the land which has gone through more than 20 years of civil war in between Sri Lankan army and the LTTE, the Tamil Tigers. So I would like to share a small bit of a story from my own life which really took me to this path of peace building. When I was just 6 and I was living with my grandparents in the northern part of Sri Lanka, during which period the civil war was in its highest peak. And during the time, just in front of our house, there was a huge army camp. And despite the fact that we are Tamils, those army soldiers are so much in friendly terms with us. They visit our houses, we used to cook for them, and so on. And among them there was...
Yes.
And among them was an army soldier who was my bestest friend that time. Because of the war period, I wasn't allowed to go to school or kindergarten. So he was the only bestest friend I had that time. I used to play with him, chat with him, and he takes me to ride in his army truck. Those memories are still evergreen in my mind. And one day there was a big siren sound, and there was a sudden announcement telling that the people who are living in that area should vacate the place not more than in 10 minutes because there are going to be an attack between Sri Lankan army and LTTE. So my grandparents took me to their hands and we were running for our life, but I was so adamant and I said, my grandpa, no, unless I tell a goodbye to my army uncle, I'm not coming. I'm not leaving the place. I was so adamant, and not in a minute, there started firing sound. There were fire, bombing, shelling, everything. And thank God, my army uncle, he was running towards me with all the weapons in his shoulders, and he gave me the tightest hug that time. And that hug prevented me from a bullet targeting at me, and he took that to his shoulder. He was attacked. And he said, no, child, I'm okay, but please get away from this place, please. And from that point onward, I started realizing we people are so good. We see no differences on each other. We are always united. It's something, an external, unknown power that induces these differences between the people. Still, we don't know what that power is. And still, I'm happy that even after this war, we are done with the war almost 10 years now, and still we people are united. So my question to you, His Holiness, would be, what would be your message to all the Sri Lankans that would encourage and motivate them to be more and more united and stand together towards the path of peace building?
I think you already practice that, and you can be, I think, one good example. Now, our own case also, last, now over 60 years, I said there's a problem with the Chinese, mainly Chinese communists. Last few decades, and the session of the around 1 million Tibetan died through killing, torture, and starvation. However, if we keep anger, some kind of feeling or wishing some kind of revenge, no use. They're also human beings. And Han people and Tibetan, over 1,000 years, we have sometimes fighting, sometimes very close friend, friendship, and through marriage, like that. So then, no use to keep anger, hatred. Only alternative, only option is let us be friend and live side by side. So that's why you see, we are, since 74, we decided not seeking independence or separation. You see, let us live side by side. And provided the Chinese government side, Chinese side, should give us, should sort of actually implement what Constitution mentioned. So our main concern is our culture, including our language. In Tibetan culture, now very rich, mainly from India. Nalanda, I think some of you may have heard, Nalanda. These sort of painting, this is some of the Nalanda masters. So I usually describe these professors of Nalanda institution, not just the spiritual leader, but truly professor. You see, they know about the human mind, about the human emotion, how to tackle these things. And then way to tackle, not through prayer, but extensively analyze these things. Long run, whether some benefit, some of these negative emotion. Through analyze, you develop full conviction. Now these destructive emotion, not at all any help. That brings conviction, like that. So therefore, Tibetan Buddhist culture, based on reason, not faith. So I really feel worthwhile to preserve. So we should have right to preserve, you see, all these knowledge. Then politically, we are very much sort of willing remain within the People's Republic of China. Okay. So this also thinking our policy on the basis of non-violence and the reconciliation like that. So that's the only way.
So, Your
At
Holiness,
Sri Lanka, very small island, so much better to live together. With Tibet, I think huge area. So if even we sort of have to fight, then I think land quite sufficient. And some area, some people remain there. Some areas, another group remain there. Sri Lanka, impossible.
Your Holiness, you talk about your experience about being a refugee, and you spoke earlier about the power of different identities and how people's different identities can cause conflict. A number of our youth leaders have been or are themselves refugees, and I think they struggle with some of these similar issues about identity and homeland and forgiveness. And I want to ask if Aluel could share her story with us.
Good morning once again, Your Holiness. My name is Aluel from South Sudan. My country has been at war for over 30 years. It was then just one country, Sudan. And in 2011, it was separated because it was the North fighting the people in the South. So the country was divided into two, and we became South Sudan, and there was now North Sudan. I was born a refugee because I was born during the crisis, and I was born a refugee in Ethiopia. And I know what it feels like to be born in a foreign land, in a refugee camp, where you're only surviving on foreign aid. There is no roof. You're using probably paper to make a small hut where you can sleep in. And being in a foreign country, you have no shelter, you have no place, and you're begging for services. is something I thought would end with my generation. When we got independence in 2011, we really celebrated because we thought we were saying goodbye to suffering. We finally have a place to call home, our own home. But as I speak to you now, Your Holiness, my own people are fighting themselves. And over millions of people have been internally displaced and externally displaced in all the neighboring countries bordering the current South Sudan. And to me personally, I feel like no child that was born after we got independence deserves to be a refugee or internally displaced, still begging for services in their own, in a different country right now. I do peace building because I believe we can do better. We don't have an external enemy. We are killing ourselves basing on tribal lines. We don't have someone outside South Sudan that is attacking us. And in my field of work, I try to look at a different angle, and I do peace building activities with mostly children. And I do women empowerment as well. And so in your experience, I know you've done quite incredible activities with children. And in a situation like in my country, women and children are merely looked at as victims of war. They are powerless. They have no role to play in situations like that. And I am, in this brief dialogue with you, I am seeking to understand how do we channel that status of being only a victim? How can we effectively use women and children as peace builders and not just victims of any conflict in a country? And then I also understand that you started your leadership at a quite young age. And I'm sure it was not a very easy journey for you. And in my country, women are not taken as people who can do anything or who can contribute to nation building. Your role is to be in the kitchen and cook food. So when I go out as a young girl, as a peace builder, as a youth who wants to make a difference, people don't even take me seriously. You know, you try to address elders and they are looking at you like you're a child, you're not supposed to be here, but you have a vision, you have a message that you want to put across. So I don't know what message or what kind of encouragement you can give me as a youth, as a young leader in this peace building journey I have started.
Oh, I really appreciate. I think in ancient time, no concept of leadership, a small human community work together, share together whatever they get. Eventually, population increase and a farming system developed. Then the cases of stealing, or bully, or cheating, these things happen. So the concept of leadership developed. At that time, the concept of leadership entirely based on physical sort of strength. So male dominance then come. Even some religious sort of tradition, also you see, there are some sort of tendency or some impact where the male dominance. Now that gone. Eventually, education come, education develop. Education brings more equal. In modern time, you see many leaders in different countries, female. So education brings more or less sort of equal sort of opportunity or thing. But still, the male dominance, some kind of there, still there. So nowadays, I always was telling, now today, the education alone, not sufficient. Education, particularly the existing modern education, is very much oriented about material value. With that, oriented power, wealth, like that. So that kind of education, sometimes instead of create more peace or more sort of harmony, but creates division and more problem. So, so-called modern education must include education about our inner value. That I often used to telling people. I really feel. So then the field where modern education not adequate. Now, education about inner value, mainly human love, human affection. So now time come, we must promote these inner value. In that respect, female should take more active role because biologically, female have a more sensitive about others' suffering, others' pain. So we male, we show our strength. Physically, biologically, female have the kasa, breast, and giving sort of milk. A father cannot do that, only mother. So the milk is the symbol of love. So now time come, female should take more active role regarding the promotion of human deeper value. That's a human love. So now here, everything depends on education. If I may say so, it's some area, the education not adequate. And education itself also not complete, I feel. Like Europe and America, these countries, modern education, highly developed, but a lot of problems there. So the existing modern education is not adequate to bring peaceful family, peaceful community, peaceful nation. So therefore, now I fully committed, try to revival of ancient Indian knowledge about inner value and knowledge about human emotion and knowledge how to tackle these emotions, how to tackle this destructive emotion. So these should consider as the academic subject, not religious subject. I fully committed. So many Indian now showing interest. So within next 1 year, 2 years, I think many universities in this country now really showing interest. And next few months, we're going to have some sort of seminar meeting with those, many chancellors like that, about few hundred chancellors, universities like that. So now we have to think education. No, we have to think what are the sources of present problem. The modern education, those is a highly materially developed country. So they have all material facility, generally speaking, there. And education also very good there. But I think most of the troublemaker are well educated. So that existing education not adequate, no guarantee to bring inner peace. Too much sort of fear, too much self-centered attitude. That creates fear. Fear creates uneasiness. That creates violence. So therefore, now the global level, I think time come. We should think seriously existing education, whether adequate to bring happy individual, happy family, happy community, finally happy world. So, when you use sort of telling your own story, very sad. But this, I think, not only your own case, but everywhere, this problem there. Some cases more serious, some cases not look sort of very because of the appearance of self-esteem. Ding ding gang into the So in any way,
the problems may not be very obvious, but deep down there is always a problem.
there's the real hope, real responsibility remain on our younger generation. The other day I mentioned generation of 21st century. Yes, now you. Now I belong to 20th century, so now ready to say, oh, bye-bye. So now you, the generation of 21st century, now you must work hard. Work hard, just work hard, not sufficient, but with vision, with sense of responsibility about humanity, about the world. Sometimes religion also, you see, make a little bit sort of discrimination, males and female. Nowadays, I think it is understandable. Most of our major religious tradition, you see, developed last 2,000 years. So the society, social system is a feudal system and male dominance. So these, I think, take time, but through education, gradually can change. Next.
Your Holiness, Doreen wanted to jump in on that, and then Shabna.
Good morning, Your Holiness. My name is Dareen. I'm from Sudan, and I'm very honored to be taking part in this dialogue with you, and I'm humbled by the amazing stories of the inspiring group that I'm with, and also the fact that I'm present here with my brothers and sisters from South Sudan is really making me feel the soreness and the pain of political divides. When I was a student, a third-year medical student, excitedly going on the first day of our clinical round, carrying my expensive backpack with no care in the world, we went to a hospital, and I saw a little girl who was standing in the corner in a nightgown and a scarf full of holes, and she was looking at us curiously. So I started to make conversation with her. I learned that she was from Darfur and that she's currently at this hospital with no connection to her family, and that she was in an area that suffered armed conflict. And she, in her eyes, she looked at me curiously, and there was sadness as well, and she started asking me questions about, are you a doctor? And I explained that I'm qualifying to become a doctor. And then from that conversation with her, I really felt like she didn't see any potential in herself after passing through such trauma. And from that, I started working with the rehabilitation of women and girls who are survivors of armed conflict. And the question that I want to ask Your Holiness is, how can we help restore the faith and inner peace in these people, or help them restore their inner peace after passing through such horrible traumas, and let go of the feelings of resentment that they have? Thank you.
That's not easy. Even at physical level, some serious illness, once fully developed, then difficult. So important is preventive measure. You also also the hygiene, including hygiene, or all these, the preventive measure. Once we neglect about a preventive measure, then the physical illness become very serious and very difficult. So similarly, I think today's world, I think we are lacking preventive measure to build healthy society, compassionate society. So we are facing this problem. No one have a miracle to eliminate these things. Even I think now here, the world religion, there are two groups. One group, theistic religion, believe Creator and God, they created whole world. So according to that sort of belief, I think you should complain to God. Why you create such sort of a miserable world? One my Indian friend, really very sincere and close friend of mine. No. So one day he asked me some difficult question. The whole world created by God. So among his creation, there are some mischievous people, a lot of mischievous people. Why God created that? Then, you see, difficult to answer that. Then I just try to find one answer. Since God also created hell, so there must be some people ready to go hell. Otherwise, no use to create hell. Then the world religion, like ancient Indian Sangha philosophy, one part believe creator, one part no belief, no concept of creator. Then Jainism, no concept of creator. Then Buddhism, no concept of creator. Says Buddha Dharma says self-creation. So everything, you see, they depend on yourself. If you do something good, you get benefit. If you do bad, you get negative consequences. So we have no way to blame to God, to Buddha. Everything you see depends on ourselves. So according to his religion, pray to God, pray, pray. But difficult. Sometimes you see, my thinking is more radical. So one occasion at Patna in Bihar, so the one was the local state government, you see, constructed one Buddha's Vihara at their capital. So he invited me for open ceremony. Then at that ceremony, the chief minister mentioned, due to Buddha's blessing, his state will soon become prosperity. Then my turn. I always talk quite frank, no formality. I always do that. So then I express, your state become more prosperity due to Buddha's blessing. Then your state much earlier should be prosperity because of Buddha's blessing last 2,000 years there. So the prosperity of your state entirely depend on able chief minister's hand. Buddha's blessing must go through the able chief minister's hand. I mentioned that. So that's my sort of the way of thinking. Buddha himself, you see, made clear like that. So therefore, so sometimes I think the other day I mentioned I am nihilist, nihilist. According from theistic viewpoint, we have no concept of God, no concept of Atma and Anatma. Buddhists, I think, really, and within Buddhism, the one school of thought of Madhyamika philosophy, the Prasankika. Within Buddhist school of thought, they consider Prasankika theory is nihilist, or nihilism, like that. So I belong that. So I am nihilist.